And this is a story, again, it's about Ireland, obviously. And the thing about Ireland and Scotland, as we know, in Ireland and Scotland, so many people have left from the two countries. And Ireland and Scotland are always competing to see who had more folk leave. And of all the people who've left, we're always trying to compete, saying which caused them more trouble. And the Irish say they caused more trouble abroad than anybody else, and it has to be said, on the laws of averages, they probably did. And a lot of the Irish went to South America, and were involved in the national struggles and independence struggles in South America. They were involved in rebellions, and not just the Irish, but their sons and their daughters, their grandsons and their granddaughters. They were involved in a lot of social justice struggles as well in South America. And one of the most famous revolutionaries from South America is a man whose family came from Galway. And some of you will know his name already, Che Guevara. And Che Guevara's grandmother, who was called Lynch, Anna Isabel Lynch, she came from Galway City. And the thing about Che Guevara was, he was very, very aware of his Irish and his Galway roots. His grandmother, when he was young, helped bring him up, and she told him all about Ireland. And when after he died, his father always said, the thing to remember about my son was that in his veins flowed the blood of Irish rebels. And when he went out to his last battle, Che Guevara, he actually took off the watch that had been given to him by Fidel Castro, and he put on the watch that had been given to him by his grandmother. It was a watch, it was a Lynch family heirloom that was given to him, and he was wearing that at his last battle, and he was wearing it when he was executed. So, Che Guevara was very, very aware of his Irish background. And in a lot of ways, it's quite fitting that Che Guevara has an Irish side to his story. Because in many ways, Che Guevara, the man himself, is such a huge character that when you actually study his life and trying to work out what's the myth and what's real, you suddenly start thinking about other heroes. When I was reading up for this story, I was thinking about the great Fianna warriors from Ireland from thousands and thousands of years ago, the great Fianna warriors, because Che Guevara has that heroic quality. Everything about him is bigger than everybody else. All the good stuff is more heroic, and all the really bad stuff is more heroic. And there's a man who is full of joy to extremes, dancing and singing, all that kind of stuff, laughter and women. And he was also a man given to great anger as well. And he was a man who was said to be very cruel, and he was also a man who was said to have great compassion. And he was also, the one thing about him was, he had a great focus in his life. He was a very driven man. And obviously what drove him was that he believed in socialism and the spread of social justice around the world. Now we all know that Che Guevara then was involved in the rebellion in Cuba. And he succeeded and helped that rebellion on. But Che Guevara, after the rebellion was successful, he realised there was a problem in Cuba. And the problem was that only Cuba was a little small country this size, and to the north was the USA, and to the south was all the dictators of South America, and Cuba could be crushed quite easily by them. And so Che Guevara came up with a solution. And the solution was very simple. We've had a revolution in Cuba, why don't we have a revolution in the entire world? And what's more, I'm the man to do it. And off he went. Che Guevara went off into the world, as you do, if your grandmother's from Galway, to set off revolution across the world. And he went everywhere. And nobody was quite sure where he was. The rumours of Che Guevara were enough to set folk rebellion. It was said he was in France, or he was in Russia, or he was in China, or he was in Africa. Everywhere he went, there was rumours of him. And everybody was trying to find him or capture him. And he was like a ghost. He was everywhere, and he was absolutely nowhere. But the word of him, the rumour of him, was enough to have the great and powerful trembling. And the strangest thing was, in those last years of his life, there is only one absolute definite sign of Che Guevara that can be confirmed. And this is a true story. For in the middle of the 1960s, there was a journalist from the Irish Times. And it was in the run-up to St. Paddy's Day. And the man decided to do research into Guinness. Being a good reporter, he decided to go to Limerick town and visit all the pubs there and drink as much Guinness as he could for research purposes. And so this reporter went round all the pubs of Limerick and he was drinking away for research purposes. barman asked him who he was, and the reporter says, I'm from Irish Times. And the barman looked at him and said, well, why are you talking to me? Shouldn't you be talking to that fella there? And the reporter looked up, and he turned round, and he nearly dropped his pint. But there, sitting in the corner, was the grandson of Galway himself, with his dark hair and his beard, a pipe in one hand, a glass of the black stuff, and from head to toe he was covered in shamrocks. Then was Che Guevara. And Che Guevara looked up, and he looked at the reporter, and his eyes stared at him. The beautiful, haunting, terrible eyes of Che Guevara. And the reporter, his soul trembled. But he got himself together, he got a coffee, drank the coffee, got his pad out, and he went over and he interviewed Che Guevara. And the next day, in the Irish Times, it was on the front page, the interview with Che Guevara. Somebody had actually saw him and got him and interviewed him. And as soon as on the front page of the Irish Times, sure, the CIA and counter-espionage, they were all landing in Limerick looking for him, and would-be rebels landing in Limerick, and all the media typing around the world landed in Limerick looking for Che Guevara, but by the time they got there, Che Guevara was gone. They had the chance they lost. Now, it was expected by everybody that Che Guevara would eventually have a rebellion in South America. And everybody guessed it would be in Bolivia, because Bolivia was crying out for rebellion at that time. But the world was ready for it. The CIA was ready, the Bolivian army was ready, the American government was ready, they trained the Bolivian army. And so, when Che Guevara came to Bolivia with his 24 comrades, the rebellion didn't happen. It failed very quickly. For 9 months, they were stuck in the mountains. They were betrayed, they were isolated, they lost their food supplies. And all the while, they were chased and hunted down. And their food began to run out, their bullets began to run out. And it got to the point where the men were starving and thin. And Che Guevara was so sick, and this time he was also an older man, that it was said that sometimes he couldn't even walk, and they had to put him on a pony and take him through the mountains. But in spite of all this, when the enemies caught up with them, when the Cajuns caught up with them, those men still managed to fight back. But it was a terrible, terrible struggle. For every man that was lost from their enemies, there was another 10 men to fill their place. Whereas Che's men, if they lost one, if they lost two, there was nobody to replace them. And his little band was smaller and smaller and hungrier and hungrier, and they went higher and higher into the mountains of Bolivia. And as this was going on all around the world, the word of this rebellion was going out, and it was taking on huge mythic proportions, complete out of proportion of what was happening. But this was in keeping with Che Guevara. And him and his men actually got to the point where they were now actually moving between two very different worlds. The world we live in and the world of myths. But the men were that hungry, it said, they were starting to hallucinate. And as they went into the north, the very, very top of the mountains, there were people there who had lived there for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, and generations going back. And when they saw Che and his men, they thought they were spirits and ghosts and wizards come from the fairy tales that they knew. And the word went out to these wizards. And of course, the word went down to the army, and the army knew who they were. And eventually, they were betrayed, and they were caught in a gully, and they were surrounded. And of course, they had their last battle. Che Guevara was wounded, and he was taken prisoner. And he was taken prisoner, and he was thrown into a schoolhouse in a local village. He was locked in there, and the order went out to execute Che Guevara. And of course, the people to kill him, it wasn't going to be the dictators of South America, it wasn't going to be the government of North America, and it sure as hell wasn't going to be the generals and the majors that controlled the armies. The men that got the order to kill Che Guevara were the poor soldiers that spent 9 months chasing. They were the ones that history chose them to kill Che Guevara. And those men, they sat there, soldiers, and they were very excited. They'd finally caught this figure because they viewed him as their enemy. And of course he was, because he killed their own friends as well. And so they all wanted to kill him, and they were all getting their bravado up, but none of them would step into that room where Che Guevara was. And so eventually they drew straws. And one by one, they drew the straws out, and the shortest straw was drawn by a man called Mario Terra. And Mario was the shortest straw. And he took up his gun, and he went over to the room where Che Guevara was. And he opened the door. And the first thing that Mario experienced was this smell. It was like walking into the pit of an animal. Because Che Guevara had been out in the woods for so long, he hadn't washed, he was dirty, he was emaciated. Beside him, two of his colleagues' dead bodies were decomposing and decomposing. The smell of him. But Mario walked in with the gun. He had to do his duty. And he looked, and he saw a figure lying on the ground. And it was the most thin, emaciated figure going, with long hair and a beard. And he was wearing rags, and just bits of leather from his feet, and blood was oozing from wounds. And Mario picked up his gun. And the figure lying there opened his eyes. And it was the eyes of GAlway staring straight at Mario. And Mario felt his eyes pierce into his very soul. And he grabbed the gun, and he ran out of the room, and he slammed the door shut. And he stood outside shaking. Mario's friends, his fellow soldiers, they all looked at Mario. Nobody judged him. Nobody said a word. History had chosen Mario. And Mario just stood outside the door, breathing and holding the gun. And one of his fellow soldiers got a bottle of whiskey and gave it to Mario. Mario took a huge gulp. And then took another huge gulp. And finally took another huge gulp. And finally turned round and he opened the door. And he stepped back in. And he raised up the gun. And now GAlway was standing up, propped against the wall, with his hands bound in front of him, his feet bound, the blood oozing out of him, his skin all ragged and thin. And GAlway stared at him. And he said, "Shoot, you coward! It's only a man you're killing!" And with that, Mario finally got the courage in him, and bang, 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 bang! He took the life of GAlway. So GAlway, grandson of Galway, they took his body and took it to a morgue, a nearby town, and laid it out. And it said that none who saw the body were shocked at how it resembled Christ. And the peasant woman from Bolivia, who stole into the morgue that night, and he took scissors. When the body lay there, he cut bits of the hair of GAlway, and they tied bits of string, and they put them around their neck. And to this very, very day, there are women in Bolivia who still have these locks of hair in the Grandson of Galway, and they use them as talismans to ward away